Hello everyone. My name is Vaishnavi Kulkarni. I'm working as marketing manager with Calsoft and I'll be your host for this podcast on simplifying NSXV to NSXT migrations, which is on top source of for all cloud service providers using VMware technologies. This podcast is an exclusive edition for listeners planning to transition or transitioning from VMware NSX vSphere to NSX transformers. We have experts from Casoft who work closely with VMware teams on various technologies. On this podcast, we have a returning speaker on Casoft podcast, Mohsin Khazi, technical director, and we have first time on Casoft podcast, Pranshu Jaiswal, senior principal development engineer. Hi Mohsin, hi Pranshu.
Hey Vaishnavi, hello everyone. This is Mohsin here.
So I think without any further ado, let's get started. To start with, I think my first question would be to Mohsin. Mohsin, could you tell our listeners uh, about NSXV and NSXT and why it is necessary to migrate from V to T?
Yeah, absolutely. As we all know, VMware NSX is one of the most popular and leading SDN solution. Uh, it came with different releases and different avatar, including NSXV, NSXT, and NSXMH in the past. So coming back to NSXV, this is a very tightly coupled solution with VMware ecosystem, whereas it works with only the VMware hypervisor ESXi, and it has a strong dependency on vCenter server. Whereas NSXT is designed to support multi-cloud heterogeneous environments, like supporting not only VM but also the bare metal servers and containers. And also NSXT supports the other environments like KVM, OpenStack, and AWS besides the vSphere environment. Uh, NSXT, brings in a lot of advanced features, be it distributed security and the ease of scalability and also streamlined operations. All these additional features makes it an compelling reason to migrate to NSXT. Apart from that, the other important point is the VMware has already ended the general support for NSXV on 16 Jan 2022. So the general support is already ended. However, VMware is providing an additional technical guidance for an year or so, and this is expected to end by Jan 2023. So considering all these factors, it becomes absolute necessary now to migrate from NSXV to NSXT.
Thank you, Mohsin. I think you gave a wonderful explanation of why we need to move to NSXT as soon as possible. But I would like to understand like there must be multiple methods to migrate from NSXV to NSXT. So can you explain those to our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to different approaches, there are migration methods like coexistence and lift and shift and in-place migration. In case of coexistence, we maintain two setups in parallel, one with NSXV and another with NSXT, and both of them will have their own workloads. So all the new workloads will be adding to NSXT. As the NSXT workload size grows, and eventually NSXV size shrinks. So we start repurposing the NSXV compute to the NSXT, and that's there is no migration involved in this method. And there is a second one, lift and shift, where like coexistence, we have two parallel setups, one for NSXV, another for NSXT. But here we bring in the migration aspect where we migrate the NSXV configurations and also the workload from NSXV to NSXT. That's the lift and shift method. And there is also in place migration, which is actually purely using the a default tool which comes with NSXT called NSX Migration Coordinator. So here there is only single setup wherein using this tool, the NSXV configurations are read and migrated to NSXT. So these are the three different and or popular methods available. Apart from methods, we have a variety of migration tools available. So the first one is, like I said sometime back, the default tool, which is NSX Migration Coordinator, which comes built in with the NSXT. I mean, I think it's coming from the NSXT 2.4 releases onwards. So since then, there are a lot of features added. Initially, when Migration Coordinator was available, it was supporting limited topologies. Now it also support the user-defined topologies as well. So that's the one preferred tool, and in fact the default tool. Apart from that, there are other third-party tools from the vendors like SPJ and REST NSX, etc. And apart from that, there is another uh, hybrid mode where the consultant understand and assess the uh, customer environment manually or through some of the questionnaires, and then carefully plan the migration and execute the migration manually or with the help of few proprietary scripts. That's the another approach we can say. Apart from that, there is another tool called NSX Migration for VMware Cloud Director tool. So this is very specific to VMware Cloud Director, wherein this tool uses the Cloud Director endpoints and performs the NSX V to T migration.
Okay, so Mohsin, you mentioned like NSX T migration coordinator as a default tool that we can use. Uh, but I mean, is there any reason like why can't we use default NSX migration coordinator tools to migrate NSXV to NSXT in case of VMware Cloud Director?
That's the good question actually. So in case of VMware Cloud Director, right, that the entire
Yeah.
data center is being managed by the Cloud Director. So none of the operations, from the admin or the user are directly performed on the NSX directly. So the default tool which you spoke about is uh, not actually the Cloud Director aware is what I could say.
Mhm.
All it understands the NSXV and NSXT endpoints and performs the migration. Let's say if you use this tool in case of VMware Cloud Director environment, then the VMware Cloud Director will not know the actual migration about. So this tool doesn't understand the VCD constructs. So hence we need a tool which is the VMware Cloud Director aware and also performs the V2D migration using the vCloud Director endpoints.
That was a very valuable input shared by you, Mohsin. Thank you so much. I think I'll move to Pranchu now. So, Pranchu, I'll come to you now. Can you please tell us more about VMware NSX migration for VMware Cloud Director tool?
Sure, Vaishnavi. So this VMware NSX migration for VMware Cloud Director provides an automated way to migrate from NSX3 to NSX2. So unlike the built-in NSX migration coordinator, it is external to VCD and it follows the lift and shift approach only. So this tool provides this tools also helps us to minimize the downtime and cutover time during the migration because it uses the layer 2 bridging and the vSphere motion technologies. One of the most important feature of this tool that it also provides the assessment of VCD environment before we can even plan for the migration.
Okay, that's a great information. Could you please tell us more about the assessment feature?
Yeah. So the automated assessment mode allows you to determine the readiness of your VCD environment for migration. So basically, it is a non-destructive process. So and it can be executed on whole VCD environment in one go. So it analyzes the state of your NSXV bot or VDCs and generates some kind of reports. So these reports tells about the challenges that you will face during the migration. If there are no challenges, then the report says that the VDC is ready for migration. If there are challenges, those are categorized into two categories. First set is uh, the challenges which can be mitigated by provider by performing some simple configuration changes. And second set of challenges are actually the limitation of tool or VCD or it might be limitation of NSXT as well. So which totally blocks the migration. This this set of challenges has helped the product team to add support for these missing features, and we can uh, support those missing features as well in future releases. As it is a non-destructive process, we can run it at any time, and this will help the provider to plan and prepare the migration effectively.
Okay, that's great. I think you explained the assessment feature and migration very well. I would like to, know more about what are the steps in general involved when it comes to migration process. And I'm sure our
Uh,
listeners will also be keen to know that.
yeah, sure. So, migration process consists of basically three phases. First, pre-check, then migration, and finally the cleanup. Pre-check phase, we evaluate the RBDCs against the user details, or the details provided. Sorry, cut and replace this. Uh, in pre-check phase, the tool evaluates the RBDCs to be migrated against the details provided in the user input file and tells about any unsupported configuration if any present in. Then we move to migration phase. Migration is performed in basically five steps: topology application, layer 2 bridging, services migration, network cutover, and workload migration. In the first step, tool creates the new RBDC, which is backed by NSXT, and replicates the network topology in that RBDC. Second step, it configures the bridging between NSXV and NSXT network segments. This helps us to minimize the east-west network disruption during cutover. In third step, we migrate the services like firewall, DFW, load balancer, etc. will get migrated to NSXT. Then we perform the network cutover, and as we can observe that the workload is not migrated yet, but still, as we have performed the layer 2 bridging, uh, our workload will be accessible from via NSXT.
Okay.
Okay, and in final step, we perform the workload migration.
Okay.
Once this migration is completed, we will have a stop, and uh, in last phase, we can perform a clean. So uh, this cleanup basically clears all the leftover entities from NSXT. Before cleanup, we can verify that everything is migrated properly and working properly in NSXT environment. And if we found any anomalies, then we have an option to provide the automated rollback as well. So
Okay.
before we clean up, we can perform the rollback, and our topology will be moved back to the state before migration. So in this way, the migration tool for VCD provides a reliable way to perform NSX migration in VCD environment.
Great. Thank you, Pransu, so much for beautifully explaining us the migration process and that too step by step and in detail. Uh, I would go back to now Mohsin. Mohsin, do you want to add any concluding points to what Pransu just shared? And what is the CalSoft's take on this whole process?
This migration tool is the only solution available to migrate any NSX-V to NSX-T in a given VMware Cloud Director environment in a automated fashion as well as with a minimal downtime. Uh, CalSoft having an extensive experience on NSX as well as being experience on designing and developing multiple or similar migration tools makes CalSoft naturally a preferred partner for any such NSX migration requirements. I would say.
I think thank you, Mohsin and Pransu, both of you, for being a part of this conversation. And I hope to see you soon again on CalSoft Podcast. This has been the CalSoft Podcast series featuring Mohsin and Pransu for the podcast on simplifying NSXV to NSXT migrations. Stay tuned for future podcasts where we explore the latest tech concepts and advancements. Thank you for listening.